Good evening, Bahamas. Coming up tonight on our news.
Hundreds gathered to lay to rest Theresa Ingram.
A former member of parliament says she has no regrets, but Bahamian voters may be experiencing buyer's remorse. We'll tell you why.
Bahamian real estate agents are well positioned to benefit from a $250 million investment at Hurricane Hole.
Our news is brought to you by Alive.
Welcome to our news and thanks for joining us. I'm Christina Dragovich. Topping news tonight, final respects paid to the late Theresa Ingram during a funeral service at St. Agnes Church. Jillian Gray has the details.
Joyous sounds fill the air at St. Agnes Church as hundreds gathered to remember and bid farewell to Theresa Ingram. Members of Parliament, cabinet ministers, activists, family and friends packed St. Agnes Church to pay their last respects to a woman said to be a fearless warrior and a friend of the poor. Moxie Ingram's draped casket was escorted in by armed forces as family members sobbed quietly. Described as a mother, educator and community activist, Moxie Ingram was fondly remembered as a bold, courageous spirit.
Her colleagues remember her as a very stern teacher who broke, that is, tolerated no nonsense, as she endeavored to ensure that her students had the skills necessary to improve their chances in life. She was a superb model for her students and our society.
Terry, as she was affectionately called, began her political life in 1987 when she was appointed senator and leader of opposition business in the Senate. Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis remembered Theresa as outspoken and one who loved her country.
She was a fearless warrior in fighting for what was right, especially for the rights of women. She never, ever forgot her roots. Theresa Moxie Ingram was a true 21st century woman.
The Reverend Father I. Ranfully Brown praised her as an exemplary Christian and charged all in attendance to look at her life and use it as an example of how to live.
Theresa, well done, girl.
Well done. Amen. Yes.
Go ahead. The times when others gave up, you pressed on.
Yes.
You remained faithful in all things. When things discourage you, you remain faithful. When people thought they took the wind from under your wings, you continued to fly.
That's right. That's what you do.
So show off yourself, y'all.
That's right. Go ahead.
Fly.
Theresa Moxie Ingram died at her home on March 20th. Reporting for Our News, I'm Jillian Gray.
In other news, opposition leader Philip Davis is slamming Prime Minister Dr. Hubert Minnis over what he termed his flippant stew-fish comments. Davis says the Prime Minister's refusal to say when his government will name a substantive Chief Justice proves the Prime Minister is a hypocrite who does not understand how to govern a country. Jasmine Brown reports.
Just characterizes the whole hypocrisy of the Prime Minister.
Davis was responding to statements made by Dr. Minnis on Wednesday. Minnis was asked when the country could expect the substantive position to be filled. Minnis said, "The only thing I plan on doing right now is going home and do my stew fish." The following day, the Prime Minister made a mad dash from reporters as they attempted to question him on the matter. He did not respond to any of those questions. Davis says it's clear the pressure is on for the Prime Minister, who he says is learning some harsh lessons early in his term.
When you are in government, there are things that you have to keep close to your chest. There are things that you have to not made public in the interest of being able to achieve certain goals, right? But he didn't know that, I don't think, and now he's now recognizing that yes, we have to be transparent, yes, we have to be accountable, but there are limits in transparency in governance, and there's limits in accountability in government.
The Governor General appoints the Chief Justice on the recommendation of the Prime Minister after consultation with the Leader of the Opposition. Senior Justice Stephen Isaacs was appointed Acting Chief Justice in December after former Chief Justice Sir Hartman Longley was appointed President of the Court of Appeal. There have been calls for the PM to name a Chief Justice, including calls from the Bahamas Bar Association and even State Minister for Legal Affairs Ellsworth Johnson, who has since apologized for his comments. Davis says at the end of the day, this is an issue that the government should seek to be as transparent as possible on.
He campaigned on the twin pillar of transparency and accountability, but yet still he shuns being transparent and he shuns being accountable.
Reporting for our News, I'm Jasmine Brown.
And the first woman to vie for the top post in the Free National Movement says she has no regrets despite losing her fight for F&M leader and later her seat as a member of parliament. Former Long Island MP Loretta Butler Turner appeared on the one-year anniversary episode of On the Record with Jerome Sawyer Thursday evening.
Do you have any regrets on anything that would have happened?
I never lived my life with regrets. You know, one of the things that I coined from I guess you will recall a few years ago that I coined from the great South African leader Mandela is that I never lose. I either win or I learn.
Although she has no regrets, Butler Turner says she believes the Bahamian electorate may now be experiencing buyer's remorse.
Buyer's remorse, not that they got rid of the PLP. I think there was no question that the PLP and under Perry Christie and the entire team of leaders within the PLP were very toxic for the Bahamas. There was no alternative. There really was no alternative. I do not believe that in hindsight that people were gung-ho on the Free National Movement or a Minnis-led government, but it was their only choice.
Despite not being a member of the governing party, the former MP maintains that her philosophy has always been aligned with that of the F&M. Since the 2017 general election, Butler Turner has kept a low profile, respecting the will of the voters.
I think it was very clear. The people wanted change. You know, it was important that the country purge itself of the PLP government, and I don't think they wanted to take any chances at all. Whatever their reasons, I was not elected, and the Free National Movement made the government, and so here we are a year later.
You can catch the rebroadcast of On the Record on Sunday evening at 8:30 p.m. And before the first shrub can be cleared in relation to the multi-billion-dollar Oban Energy's oil refinery project, the environmental impact study must be done and demonstrate to the government's satisfaction that it is in the public's interest. That according to Deputy Prime Minister Peter Turnquest, who delivered remarks at the Sustainable Grand Bahama Conference hosted by the University of the Bahamas on Thursday. Quest said Bahamians should not be fooled by the noise, noting that the government of the Bahamas will not approve any project that is not able to demonstrate in a clear, scientific way that it will be environmentally sound and sustainable. He adds that the public should be confident that the environmental impact assessment, the environmental management plan, and the operational plan for the proposed developments by Oban will be very critically reviewed with the strictest standards by independent third parties to ensure any risks that may be present are effectively mitigated. That, he says, is a non-negotiable element of the heads of agreement for the proposed project to be operationalized. Turnquest said the government found itself in an unenviable position of making decisions about seemingly competing environmental and economic interests. However, he says government will not enter into any development proposal that is going to cause the livelihood and quality of life of residents and future generations to be compromised. In other news, a married couple today charged with drug possession charges after police yesterday discovered nearly 200 marijuana plants at a Devonshire Drive home. Drug Enforcement Unit officers brought husband and wife Patrick and Veronica Bosfield before Magistrate Samuel McKinney, charged with 2 possession with intent to supply charges and 1 cultivation charge. Police say around 6 a.m. Thursday, a joint operation led officers to a home in Coral Harbour where they discovered 173 marijuana plants and several packages of suspected marijuana. The marijuana weighed in at 72.6 pounds with a street value of $77,000. The couple pled not guilty to all charges and will return to court on June 12th for trial. Still to come on our news, celebrating Autism Awareness Month, plus a push for the enforcement of the Public Disclosure Act. Stay with us.